Welcome to SYNCcast powered by Commercient. I'm Heath McKnight. Joining me today is Miguaël Bergeron, who works for Manulift, one of our clients. How you doing today? Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Hi, Heath. I'm doing good. Yourself?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much.
So I've been working at Manulift at a management and technology controller for about the last year. And honestly, we are a telehandler distributor based in Canada. We have operations across all the country with branches in Quebec, Ontario, Alberta too. And so we are a lot of growth, a lot of challenges. So everything's going well.
That's great to hear. We were talking before, and one of my first questions on another call was, so you're in accounting, right? And you were like, I'm not. So, but you are a CPA, which tell me a little bit about that. And then I think you mentioned you did a career pivot into technology, which kind of blows my mind because I have friends that are accountants. They love being accountants, and I can't imagine them going to doing a career pivot like you did.
Yeah, well, it might sound a bit unorthodox, but I'm not the only one who did it. Basically, I did my CPA in school, and I started working in accounting in companies as financial analyst, controller, ended up finance director for a nonprofit in Quebec City. And I've always been really interested in all the tools that technology can do us. You could have named me Mr. Optimizing where I was. So the new softwares, BI tools, I've always been really interested. And after a couple of years, I was getting tired of, Monset, dealing taxes with the government, always running after everyone. So you get a PO approval or something like that. And so I decided to pivot, and I had a really amazing opportunity at Manulift that they needed an accountant that was able to understand technology. So merging really the business part and the technology part. And that's what I've been doing since. And I'm pretty happy, honestly.
That's incredible. Did you get any kind of certifications to help with that transition, or was it more just like you used it so much that you basically became an expert and you were able to make that transition?
Yeah, I didn't get any certification. A lot of stuff with tech is that you can almost learn everything yourself. Mm-hmm. So for example, before I came into Manulift, I didn't know how to write any SQL queries or stuff like that. So I just learned it before coming in. And, every software is so different when you're working with an ERP, with a CRM. They all have their own way of functioning, their own logic. So sometimes learning the software itself is really all the knowledge that you need to make it work for the business.
Yeah. And then speaking of technology, when we have spoken in the past, you told me Manulift was using Epicor P21 as their ERP, accounting, operations, et cetera. And they were using a CRM, a limited one, if I remember correctly. And there was the thought to really kind of get a great CRM in Salesforce. And I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about not just the software, but the whole philosophy behind modernizing the sales processes for a company like Manulift, especially one where you have your headquarters, but then you have all of these different locations throughout Canada and everywhere that you're doing business. How did you do that? How did you modernize Manulift's overall sales processes?
Yes. It was a big challenge and still is, because I can tell you implementing Salesforce, it's not like you do the go live and it's done. It's an ongoing journey. And as you said, we have multiple branches. And since we're based in Canada, you got to do everything in 2 languages, which means 2 different cultures and group of workers also. Our previous CRM, it was working. Don't get me wrong. But we're generating a lot of data. and our salespeople are committed to log in about everything they can on client. And our CRM was getting pretty slow. And every time we needed to customize something, well, we had to ask the company, hey, can you do this for us? And one time out of two, they didn't get it quite the way we wanted. So we were starting to feel kind of limited. And so that's when we decided to go with Salesforce. And I mean, aside from the reputation of the product, what we really like was the opportunity to customize ourselves with an almost no-code approach. The different screens we're using, configuring flows to automate processes, and also, well, the opportunity to being able to connect it to Epicor P21, which is our ERP, to make sure that the salespeople can get input from the operations without having to live on multiple systems at the same time.
Yeah. And it's amazing to hear that the sales team was so dedicated to logging. I'll talk to heads of sales or maybe a Salesforce administrator, whether it's somebody who works for a company or an outside consultant. And sometimes they say that it's a little bit of a chore or an effort to get the salespeople to really adopt it and everything. And it really makes a difference, because what you put into the CRM is going to give you so much back, and it's going to help grow the sales and close more deals. So when you did that transition, how did the sales team, who were used to one CRM, take to Salesforce? And I'll say one thing, we use Salesforce, and it's like, to me, it's great because I don't feel like I have to have a PhD in technology and computer science to use it.
Yes, well, as with every system, changing from the tool that they use 20 times a day to another tool, it's always a challenge. I won't deny that. The first month, you get a lot of calls saying, hey, your product is not working. And, it's just about learning how to use it. And we made adjustment as well. What I can say is that, we did the go live on, I'll always remember it, June 2nd, 2022, after a weekend of doing the last configurations. And I can pretty much say that after a month, the teams were comfortable using it. So were they doing everything the way we intended? No, but they were able to use it. They were able to do their follow-ups. We didn't lose any sales in the process. And the team from the get-going have been really good partners in telling us their reality. So for example, after 2 or 3 weeks, well, we were able to pivot and do big changes, for example, in the opportunity management, in the task management, to meet their request. If I was with another system that I need a developer from a consulting company charging me $250 an hour, I wouldn't have been able to do this, not at such a fast pace. So that's one of the things that really helps us with Salesforce. Changes are easy to make. You can do them quick. And, users in the end are pretty much happier with the actual CRM than the one we had before.
That's awesome. And now with Commercient SYNC, what we're doing is we're integrating data between Epicor P21 and Salesforce. Why is that important for the sales team to have certain data? Like, for example, perhaps a sales report from a customer who hasn't bought in a while, but they're going to go meet them in the field, or did they pay that invoice, that kind of a thing?
So many things. I'd say the most important for us really is all the customer information. So for example, in our business, a customer can have multiple site of operations. And so all that is maintained in Epicor P21. And every time there's a change, it's synced back to Salesforce the same day. So that's an information that they really can get quick feedback. And also for example, we deal a lot of warranties. So we sell extended warranties for the telehandler we sell to our clients. Well, the reps are able to see, okay, this client has a warranty and it's going to end in 1 month, for example. So I'm able to call the client back to see, does he want another extension? Or for example, they're able quickly to look at the client and see, okay, what are his last 10 orders? Has he be ordering in the last 6 months or not? And, we're just starting. This is the basic, but we're getting it more and more, adding some fields. And let me, if you allow me, just another quick example. When client order their machine, well, it's not always on stock. Sometimes we have to order the machine, especially after COVID and all the logistic problems it created. Well, one of the challenge we have is, how do you pass the information from the equipment team to the sales team about the machine and when it's gonna be delivered? And as you can guess, it's a lot of emails and a lot of communication that get lost in the way. So what we will probably do soon is to include a place in P21 where the operations can put the information, and using Commercient sync that new field right into Salesforce so that the sales rep can get the info, instead of having multiple emails and back and forth and confusion in the process,
Oh, yeah. And it just streamlines it, and it just makes it easier. You're not bugging the accounting team saying, hey, can you send me that new address, for example? Hey, that company, they just opened a new warehouse and everything. It's interesting you said the warranties, and that's awesome about being able to extend the warranties, which is basically an add-on, if you will. I talked to a client once, and they sold a lot of cleaning machines for manufacturing plants, and nobody could track if somebody had a warranty. So most of the time they didn't know if they were doing a repair in or out of warranty. You can imagine how much money they were losing, until the field agents and even the dispatch could say, pull up, in Salesforce and see that, oh yes, they do not, or they do have a warranty, or no, they don't. Make sure that you charge them or ask them if they would like to buy a warranty that would have saved them X dollars and stuff. And I asked if they knew how much money they lost. They couldn't even quantify it, but they said it was probably a lot, because suddenly profits went up because the repairs were, out of warranty, and they knew for a fact.
Yes, and it's just a proof that when you have data, it gives you opportunities.
Yeah.
Maybe bringing all the data, you won't use all of the data 1 week or even 1 year after implementing, but at least the data is there. It allows managers from the sales team to look at it and say, oh, I could use this, or I can use that in different contexts.
Mm-hmm. And you were telling me that you worked with one of my great colleagues, and I was wondering if you wanted to just kind of share your experience about that.
Yeah, so we did the Commercient implementation, and after our go live, you always have the initial fixes to do. But I gotta say, we've been blessed to work with a lady named Lynette Stork. She's based out of Western Canada, and I think if I had to give one thumbs up to Commercient, it would be her service. Every time we log a ticket, we get a return in less than 24 hours. We also directly work with the same analyst, Rikesh, I forgot his last name. And so, it's just good to have the same team of people around your company that you can keep after the implementation. Because, a lot of tech companies, you have the professional services, they implement, after that they leave, and, you call someone you don't know at support. Yeah. So Lynette's been really helpful to us. And I gotta say also, what surprised me is that, she knows Commercient, and I mean, that's normal. It's your company, but she also knows Salesforce. So a lot of the time she can also, she's not only saying we're going to bring that data and deal with it. She helps us in how we're going to bring it into Salesforce. So that's really much appreciated every time working with her.
Awesome. And thank you for that. I will definitely pass that along. Before we wrap up, I actually want to ask if you have any tips for somebody, whether they're an accountant or doing something else, that are considering a career pivot into technology. And I have friends, they're in their mid to late 30s, early 40s. They've been doing kind of the same thing. And it's either because their industry is really struggling, or they've been doing something for so long, they're kind of stuck and they want a career pivot. I was wondering if you have some tips that you could share that might help people out, especially moving to a technology in general, and also Salesforce in particular.
Yes, well, I think the first advice that I would give is go with your strength. So in technology, you have a lot of roles. We're not all coders hidden in a basement coding all day long, Some people prefer that, and it's okay. But for people that are on the business side, well, you can get in as a business analyst, as a project manager. So really try to learn about the roles and learn, about yourself, about the strength. Because, for example, if you like talking to people and managing things, don't become, a BI analyst that always stays in his cubicle, And for Salesforce, really, and it's what's really great about the platform, it's almost no code. So if you have a good understanding of a business, of the typical sales process, so for example, lead management, opportunity management, you already have a foot in the door, basically. And naturally, well, there are some basic languages that you got to learn. If you want to do BI, you got to understand SQL. There are some tools, Power BI, Tableau, Click, that are also, very used out in the field. And, talk to your contacts. I got in Manulift through a friend that's been working here for the last 3 years as an accountant too. And, without him, probably I wouldn't have heard about the opportunity. So talk to people around you.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing I also really like about Salesforce is they allow you to go on the trail and you can learn, and you're not like spending a lot of money, or I joked earlier, you're gonna have to get your PhD in computer science just to understand it. And you can go through that and really learn it. And if you wish, maybe you just want to learn a couple of things because you're going to be using it as a salesperson or in marketing, or as you said, business intelligence, BI. But if you want to become like a certified Salesforce administrator, you can just go on that trail and learn it, and then study and take the exam. And I always thought that was really incredible.
Yeah, you can do this. And, Salesforce on the self-use side, it's really well built. I mean, you can learn from the Trailhead. You have test environment, module, exercise. You can learn it all by yourself, basically. Yeah. So, it's, for me, it has really helped. And there's such a big community. I mean, there's so many people using Salesforce. So, there's something we say like Google is your best friend. Well, with Salesforce, it's pretty much that. Google and Trailhead. If you have a question, somebody for sure already tried to do it and might have an answer.
Yeah, and I like that too with the community. I also like that between the community and Salesforce, they really want you to succeed. Nobody's looking at you as just, oh great, here comes somebody else who's gonna take my job, which some industries that's kind of the attitude, unfortunately. But I'm to this day, I'm amazed at how many businesses I would say, oh geez, you would think everybody has Salesforce or some CRM, but there are still so many businesses stuck using spreadsheets that are like, okay, we got to modernize. And so there's a lot of opportunities for people to make that career pivot.
Yeah, people love their Excel spreadsheets. So as an accountant by trade, I can understand that. But having a spreadsheet and having a living system that can act really as a way to regroup all customer-focused communication and initiative in an orderly fashion. It has just so much more value than a spreadsheet.
I agree. And plus, you're not just stuck in sales. You can tie in marketing with their marketing cloud and even customer service. We have a client who said, okay, it's too great, and we have too many different apps and different licenses and fees. Let's just go with Service Cloud, and they love it. And we're actually helping them out by syncing that data, like warranties and stuff. So thank you so much. This was an awesome conversation.
Oh, thanks to you.